Do y'all have a song that like y'all just listen to that just like get y'all hype sometimes?
I think it just depends on what's out right now. Because right now, leave the new Bruno Mars song and Anderson .Paak. It just gives me all the
Yeah, that's a good one.
yeah. So
And
right
my
now between that and Up by Cardi B, it's a little bit.
you need the ratchetness. Mine right now is Janelle Monáe's. I like that.
Okay.
Like that just I don't know. It's just something about it. All right. So here we go. All right. So hello and welcome to reality. So this is a podcast where our topics will be discussing some common life situations that you might see just kind of fluffed up on TV, like on movies, TV shows, and stuff like that. And you know how sometimes they'll start handling them in some funny type ways that you'll be like, this wouldn't really happen in reality. Like that's not very realistic. So anyway, joining me in these discussions, I have two women that I admire and love oh so much. So we'll go ahead and start the introductions with Jordan and then Shanti, and then I'll follow and then pick up where you ladies leave off. So Jordan, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell the people where you're from.
Okay. So hi, I'm Jordan, also known as JB. Technically I'm from North Carolina. I'm gonna say that North Carolina 252. That's where I'm from. So don't nobody come for me if y'all see this. Like you ain't say where you was from. I've lived in New York for the past like 8 or 9 years, and I live in Jersey now.
My name's Shantae. I am originally from Chicago. I was raised in Louisiana, and now I'm in Texas. So I'm just kind of all over the board when it comes to that. But I'm going to go ahead and say I'm a Texan for now. You know, we out here making bad decisions about these masks, but I'm going to still claim it.
All right. And my name is Mincy. I'm from Louisiana. I now live in Texas. Just a little bit about me. I'm a wife and a mother of two. This came about because I apparently have a lot of ideas running through my head. And this year I'm taking a note from Shonda Rhimes, and this is kind of going to be my year of yes.
Come on, say yes. Come on.
I'm going to go ahead and just try to tap into not all of them, some of the things that are in my head. So this is like step 2. Step 1 was my little other project that I told you all about. This is the second one. So see where we get with this one. But we're going to go ahead and get into it. But I just need to make it clear that these discussions are just simply our opinions. And although we might have some strong feelings on some of them about, certain topics, it's still all in good fun and a conversation. Sometimes, even though it can get serious, it's still meant to be light. So today's topic is having a sex talk with your child or your children. So what made me choose this particular topic was, you've seen the little movies where, the parents they realize that it's time for them to go ahead and have the sex talk with their child. And then it's usually the people, and they'll hurry up and be like, not it. And whoever gets stuck most of the time, it's the dad that gets stuck having a little conversation. And then he ends up just fumbling through the entire conversation. And I was sitting there watching it. I don't remember what movie, but apparently it's in a lot of them. And I was just like, that's not it's a realistic situation, but that's not how it would really happen. Or I hope that's not how it would really happen with some people. So and sometimes it'll end up being both of the parents doing the talk. But when they do the talk, it's them just making a bunch of weird gestures and combining a bunch of weird stories. And you're like, why would you do that to this child? And then for me, that makes me think that sometimes people would end up having a skewed view on sex, and that you're not really rearing your child to appreciate it and respect it the way that it's meant to be, I guess, from my standpoint or whatever. So my first question to y'all is, what do you think is the appropriate age for you to have the talk with your child?
Ha. I think that's kind of a hard question for me. Um, I feel like you start to have that kind of you kind of start to have that talk as like your child's body starts developing. So like as you notice that they're going through like puberty or changes, or I would say especially for like as a girl, as we start like our periods and we start menstruating, like that is a sign that like your body can technically reproduce,
Mm-hmm.
because with that you're ovulating, that means you're having your period regularly. Like that's your body letting you know that it is preparing, like, your reproductive system.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I feel like for me that would in my brain be a marker, unless there is something that I like notice. Now, I have a daughter. So for me, her starting menstruation would be a marker to start having the sex talk, unless I noticed something, or something earlier. Now me, I started my period when I was like 10 or 11. Like I started my period young.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be the timeline for, like, I don't know that I necessarily know what age that I would say let me start talking about it, but that would be like something that I would look out for.
Okay.
I agree with you. I think that that's really like a smart way of doing it. But now kids are having sex so young. I
Well,
mean,
talk about it.
I have a daughter too, you know what I'm saying? Like, I have a 2-year-old, so believe me, I don't want it. But at the same time, I just think about I always joke around and say that I learned about sex watching Boys in the Hood. I'm serious. That's how I learned what like technically happens. Because he's sitting out there with his father, and he's like, you take a girl, you stick your penis in it, and 9 months later, a baby comes out, right? That's what that's what Trey says when he's young, and that's what I kind of like found out, like the technical. I knew it was a lot of rubbing and whatnot, like because you see things on TV, and I was relatively young back then. I mean, I was like in the third grade when I probably heard that. I mean, I'm just thinking about like that movie. Oh, girl, I'm not that old.
No, I was thinking about something else when you said it. My mind immediately went to that's why y'all was in there doing all that doggone humping. Because
Look,
y'all
don't.
watching Boys in the Hood.
Hey! I told you that in confidence. But yeah, it's like, I mean, kids, I'm just saying they start so young doing things like that I would be almost nervous not to tell her something about it ahead of time. And then I hate to go that direction, but even with predators, to some extent, I want her to know that like this is not something that you do. It's so hard now because it's like you don't want to expose your kids to too much, but then you don't want them to be naive, you know.
Right.
So it's complicated, and I think it makes it more complicated because I don't know about y'all, but my parents didn't really talk to me about stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it makes it a little bit more difficult for me to really decipher when. But I would think that I don't know. I guess I would start like maybe a little bit earlier, just trying to like just teach her certain things. You know what I'm saying? Just to make sure that she kind of has a balance. Because in all honesty, my brothers talked to me about sex. They told me before I went to the 7th grade. It was the summer before I went to 7th grade. I never forget because they scared me. They told me all boys wanted to do was have sex with you and blah blah blah, and make sure they use condoms. And I mean, they just went all out of the box, okay. And I was just like, I'm only going to the 7th grade, and I didn't have a boyfriend that year because I was just like, all boys gonna want to do is have sex with me. So I was scared.
They did their job. They did their job.
They did their job a little too well. They traumatized me a little bit. So I'm not sure. I'm gonna try to. I think I'm gonna try a little bit earlier though, because especially like you said, administration. I didn't get a cycle until I was 15.
Mm.
So that was well beyond like everybody else did. All my friends had it, but I never did get one because I was always small, like So I didn't get one, and yeah. So I would definitely need to know before then.
Right.
Okay. So for me, I'm not gonna say it's a little different. I'm on the same page with Jordan. I feel like it's a maturity level associated with it. So a lot of times girls do mature faster than boys, but boys, to me, boys' hormones kick in a little faster. And for me, I have two boys. Y'all have girls. And I know a lot of people like to say that it's easier with boys because they don't have to worry about, you know, them bringing a baby home. But I kind of look at that. I'm kind of jumping the gun a little bit, but I kind of look at that as a, it's like a double standard to me. Like I don't believe in that, because ultimately, maybe it's just the type of person I am. It's both of your responsibilities. If you were to bring a child, wouldn't just expect my child to still be able to do whatever he wanted to do, after he done got a girl pregnant. But I, going back to the question, I do believe it's associated with a maturity level. When you start to notice, that's why it's important for you to pay attention to your child, because when you start to notice certain things happening with that child, then you can pick it up and be like, huh, he's smelling himself a little too much nowadays. I need to go ahead and we need to go ahead and kind of nip this in the bud. Like, it's just, it's just in my mind that, like, also like you, Shanti, I would want to be ahead of it too,
Yeah.
like, because you don't want them to just be surprised one day and just wake up and be like, I got all these feelings and all these things going on with me and I don't know what to do with them. And then I might be in a season where I'm not really paying that much attention because I'm at the point where I'm thinking that he's so independent right now. Are we not ready for that yet? I don't need to introduce that. And he's just confused. What, both of them, one of them might be just confused and don't know where to go with it. But I do want it to be open. I do want to put it in them that they can come to us, because I also don't want to be the only one sitting there having that conversation with them. I don't want to be the not it people. I want him to be able to come and tell one of us, and then both of us sit down and have a conversation with him.
I
Like
think
with them.
that's important. It's for your kid to be able to come to you, because I
Yeah.
think sometimes when, I mean, it's difficult to have that kind of conversation with your parents in general, but then some parents are just so like, you better not have that conversation with me, that it makes a kid feel even more uncomfortable if they did want to mention it. So I think that's the important part too, is just being open for your kids to actually talk to you about things.
I honestly don't even remember having a sex talk with my parents. The only thing I really remember is my grandmother kind of, and she didn't even go into detail. She kind of mentioned it along the way. Like, she pulled me to the side and was like, I got a little gift for you. And she gave me a ring with 2 or 3 pearls in it or something. And she kind of made a reference to, protecting my pearl and keeping it safe and stuff like that. I lost the ring just as quick as she gave it to me. I ain't lose my pearls as quick as she gave me the ring. But she did give it to me a little early though. But
Yeah, I don't remember having I don't remember that being a thing. I mean, my mom passed away when I was 17. So I don't know if that would have been like around the time that we would have been having that conversation. I know when it was time for me to go to college and we was all in Walmart buying stuff, my dad just picked up a box of condoms and put it in the cart and kept moving.
Well, look at daddy.
So I think I guess that was the talk.
such a progressive father.
Right. But to your point, Mimi, it's important to like pay attention to your child and like know what's going on. Cause I feel like you could tell when they smelling themselves a little bit. Like I feel like I've been around kids where I'm like, oh, okay, I see what I see what you got going on. Like you could tell a little difference in like how they're handling themselves when that time comes up. And I also agree in like making sure that like it feels like an open conversation. Like I don't want her to feel like chastising her or I'm coming down on her or she's doing something wrong. Like if that's something that she decides to share with me. And I don't say that to say that I'm going to be like encouraging her to have sex. Like I'm not going to be like, yeah, girl, go get it. This is what you need to do. This is how you do it. Like we not on those levels. However, should that be a thing and she's like, she's like, mom, this is what's like, I want her to feel like she could come talk to me about it. Like I don't need to know the details. We could have an overview of the conversation, but like I do want her to feel like in those situations, she could come to me, or even if she's like, because it happens, like your kid get a little boyfriend and they got a boyfriend for a little while, and as parents, it's like, oh, y'all can't be in my house together by yourselves, and you ain't open the doors are open, what you going upstairs for, like those types of conversations. And eventually it's like, all right, your child is 14, 15, they got this little boyfriend and a half for 1 or 2 years. I mean, we ain't dumb, and nor were we like innocent. And that's the thing too, because parents like to play this.
Like
Not
they
like
never,
that.
nothing. I ain't getting nothing. Like they ain't never did that either. Like
I,
we got.
I wouldn't. Oh, girl, no. I'm not even doing that to my baby, because ain't nobody got time. Sis, I was living my life. Okay, I learned how I learned. I figured it out, and I ain't finna let you make these same mistakes. Okay, I'm not finna let you go down all the dumb stuff and all the dumb things that I did. Like, if I can give you tools to like empower yourself and learn and do better and have the proper tools to maneuver through puberty and maneuver through your sexuality, then I'm going to help you with that, because there's nothing for you to be ashamed of. And I feel like that happens too, where like parents are like, don't do it, and it gets to a point where you're literally like ashamed of your sexuality, and it ends up hindering you in a long run with like, knowing yourself and having partners. And that's just a whole entire other conversation, because now you don't know, like you just out here trying to figure it out. I don't want her to have to move around in the world to try to figure it out. Nah, sis, let me go ahead and tell you what's going on.
I definitely agree with that. Like, just be open with them and be open with them about your past to some extent. You know what I mean? Because, like you said, parents want to act like they ain't never did nothing. Which I can't say that about my mom, because and that's something that I say when I got my first like long-term boyfriend kind of thing. She was like, well, because I would talk to her about boys all the time. My mom did kind of create that kind of path where I felt comfortable enough talking to her about stuff like that. Not about sex, just about boys. So anyway, but she was like, when I got my first long-term boyfriend, somebody I let her meet and all that, she was like, well, do you want to get on birth control? And I remember feeling like, did she just say that to me? but I think that she was just like a realistic mom. Like, she never went the path of like teaching me to respect my body, though. That's something that I feel. I think I've told Mimi that before, that I felt like, I wish someone would have kind of like given me the whole respect your body. I'm not saying don't, but just know what decisions that you're making more consciously, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. That, oh, it's okay to do it, just do it responsibly. And not to say like you said it like that, but you know what I mean? At the same time, she was just kind of like, my mom was just a real person. She just like, look, if you want to do it, then, let's get A, B, and C in line so you don't end up with a child.
Right.
Because she had a child, So, I mean, she was like 19, but she still, you know what I'm saying? I think that she looked at it like, I don't want that to happen to my daughter. So I'd rather you do it responsibly. And she was just a realist. Like, I tell people that, and they be like, my mom would have never. But my mom was very real about stuff, so it's going to be interesting with my baby.
All righty. So, question number 2. Do you feel like the talk should be gender prepped? And when I say gender prepped, I mean as far as the parents, same sex. You have a girl. Do you feel like you as a mother should be the only one having a sex talk with your child, or would you want your significant other to be in on it as well?
I think it depends on the context of the conversation, right? So I feel like in the overview of like what sex is, what can the consequences that come from sex, her father can have that conversation with her just as well as I can. Now, when it comes to her like knowing herself, knowing her body, knowing what changes are in your body, knowing what certain stuff is, as a woman, I can have that conversation with her, and that might, like, I just am going to be privy to details about her body and things that she should know about herself that her father is not going to be privy to.
I can agree with that answer. And like I said, with my conversation, like kind of coming my sex conversation kind of coming from males, it was good to even like overhear my brother's conversations that they had about girls because it made me feel like I don't want to be one of them girls. So it kind of protected me in this weird way because I would hear them say negative things or talk, certain ways. And it just kind of, I mean, it's sad, but it kind of turned me off from sex to some extent, even at a younger age, because I felt like I knew how disrespectful men could be. I'm not trying to be ugly, but, to some extent, I think as women, sometimes we think, that guys are going to be, I don't know, more genuine than they actually are. And not to say all guys are like that, but you know what I'm saying? Like at a young age, a lot of times they are out to have sex with you. And I feel like if she heard that from her father as opposed to hearing it from me, because, hearing it from me, what do I know? Whatever. She might look at it like, well, you're a girl too. But I think hearing it even like from my brothers, hearing it from people that, that were males saying how males were, what do they have to hide? Like what do they have, So I think in that way, some things, yes, need to come from a woman and a woman's perspective. But then some things I think they need to hear from the opposite sex.
I agree with the both of y'all. For me, I would want me and my husband sitting in on that conversation because, like y'all said, it's just relativity. He can tell them some things about themselves that I don't have a penis. I can't tell you. I don't know. But I also want I want to raise my sons to be very considerate of females and understanding of females. So I would tell them, not my experiences. I don't need you knowing what I did. However, I do want to be relatable. So I would want to give them some insight from a female's point of view so that they can see both sides. Like you may be feeling like this, but you got to think about the girl and she may be feeling like this. So you don't know. You need to be considerate. Like I feel like that plays a major factor in how these guys nowadays really don't respect females because a lot of the times they only get the sex talk from a male. And then majority of the time,
it ain't a good talk.
It's not. It's pretty much just them telling them, you better get yours.
Right.
Get yours, young man, while you can. And I refuse. If my husband, which I know he won't, if Tyrone was to ever tell one of my sons to get theirs while they can, everybody getting slapped in this house. Everybody. So I just feel like it plays when you want your kids to grow up respecting other people as far as in the sex discussion, it's really necessary to have both given insight on it and I also want them to understand cycles. Like I don't want my sons to be the boys in the school sniggling and giggling just because a girl got her cycle and she done messed up her pants. Like that already takes a toll on a female. You need to be the considerate young man that pulls her to the side. Hey, you need my jacket? Like, you kind of messed up your pants. Here, take my jacket and wrap it around you and go to the office and do whatever you need to do. I wouldn't dare want them to be walking around the school. Yo, dog, look at her. Look. Like that's just ridiculous.
But I think that also leads to another conversation of like as me as a mom of a daughter, like I'm telling my daughter all of this stuff about her, but I also need to let her know stuff about the opposite sex to make her aware of what's going on around her as well, so that she's not just ignorant to what's happening. And I think that's a good point because I feel like, especially when it comes to sometimes when with men and like raising boys, like it seems like it's like a whole entire other world. Like they in their own world, they got their own thing going on, and they aren't necessarily taught to be, as considerate, nor are they taught like what's actually like going on with a woman to understand those things. Like there's so many intricacies, and we have our cycles and we have all of this, and it's like the ignorance of it, and then also it being like taboo, like ill, you're bleeding once a month, ill, you poop, yes, I use the bath, come on.
Yes,
it's a part of life. We all do.
Be shame associated with that. It's a natural body process, but at the same time, there's so much shame shame like built into just the fact that we have cycles. Like,
Right.
so what? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is the way we were created. This is the way that our bodies are. More than half the population or half have them. So why is it like a shameful thing for us, you know? But I definitely agree with both of y'all that you know, you have to kind of give both sides of what each gender actually thinks, because like you said, for males especially, that talk goes a whole nother way. You know, that it goes completely sideways. And I think that's the why we get the men that we do. I'm just thinking about like my husband, you know, and him just saying when he was younger, he was just out in the streets, just doing whatever to whoever would let him do it, you know. So, but that's what he was taught. He was taught that at a young age. And we were talking about we have a little girl, but we wanted a boy. So we always talked about like, you know, we have a male child that what we wanted to do was teach them to respect their body, just like we would teach a female child to respect their body. Because at the same time, you doing this, that, and the third, look at what risk you taking for your own body. You know what I'm saying? Like you still have that same risk of getting an STD. You still have that risk of having a child at a young age. All those same risks stand for you as well. But I think that when it comes to boys, it's just so loose. It's just so, you know, break a girl hard, it don't matter, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Everything is just so crazy, like when it comes to that world. So I think that it is important to tell both sexes like what's going on. And I never thought about that. Now hopefully this will be better for, you know, the next generation, because we actually have talked to our children about that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Our parents didn't. So hopefully.
Yeah. Alrighty. So, question number 3. Oh, I feel like I should have prepped that first. All right. When having the talk with your child, how do you envision it going?
Ooh. My God. I know that I don't want to make my daughter feel bad about herself. And I don't want to make her feel like what she's feeling is wrong. So that's the thing. And you know, and especially like growing up in like a Christian household, sometimes it can be very like, until you get married, you should never have sex. You're going to hell. The fire is gonna get you. Like, I don't ever want her to feel like bad about herself or bad about bad about what she's feeling. I I would envision the talk being like an open conversation, me asking her like, do you have any questions? Like, how are you feeling? What and what do you know? Because you know, they have like little whatever sex ed classes they have in class. So like, what do you know already? Like, what do you feel like you know? Maybe she done seen Boys in the Hood and she like, mine, 9 months, he's sticking in, I'm gonna have a baby. And I'm like, hold up, we could prevent that, okay? So it's, you know, maybe asking her like, you know, what is it that you know already and what would you like to know? Like, I would hope that it would be an open dialogue between the two of us and not me being like, this is what it is, this what you don't do, this what you ain't gonna do, this what you're not finna do. Like, I don't want to put her in that position. So I envision the talk being an open dialogue between me and my daughter, me asking her questions, her asking me questions, and it not feeling, I mean, I'm sure for me it's gonna be uncomfortable to like talk to my daughter about sex, but to not make her feel uncomfortable.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to read some books or something.
Girl, where they at? Send them on the list. Send them to me, okay?
Because I don't know. I'm just like, I don't know. I'm the same person that, you know, she started using new words and I'll be like, you're growing up too fast. So I don't know. It's gonna be, I hope, you know, that she will, you know, just be able to talk to me, be able to tell me, you know, what's going on with her. I just hope she feels comfortable enough to come to me when the time comes. Not to say that I'm not gonna say something so about it before she comes to me, but I really want her to be able to kind of like spike that time in her head to say, you know what, I'm gonna talk to my mama about this before I do this. Before I pull the trigger, you know what, I'm just gonna talk to her about it, just see what she says. You know, like I don't, and that's it. Like, and I won't, like, I mean, like you said, I mean, more than likely, most kids know different things. You know, they learn from the streets, they learn from the movies, they learn from friends. So, I mean, because by the time, I mean, maybe I went to a bad school, y'all, but I mean, in seventh grade, we had girls that was pregnant. I mean, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, so we started seeing things young. So I don't know. I hope that she just comes to me first. That's what I really just hope for. That she comes to me first.
As far as me, I want to sit down. I want to have like a whole classroom. I want them to be sitting there like with their daddy up there, me right there. What's going? I'm just joking. No, but no. In all honesty, like I said before, I want their daddy to be right there. I want me to be right there. I do want it to be open. Um, I don't want to chastise them or make them feel like they're, doing anything wrong. I don't want to be naive in a sense of thinking that they're gonna wait till they're married and they're gonna, do everything right, because I didn't do everything right. I messed up sometimes too. So I can't see myself holding my kids to a certain standard even when I know I I didn't keep up, those same standards. But I do want us both to be sitting there having open dialogue with them. I want them to feel like it's okay for them to ask us anything. With the field that we work in, I want to make it very clear that it is very easy for you to end up in my clinic looking crazy. I just don't want my kids to be one of those dumb kids that walk in there not knowing that was how they got somebody pregnant. Like, I legit don't want them to walk in somewhere and be like, I didn't know that could come from that. Because the amount of times I've seen these chaps walk in there just dumbfounded, looking like, oh, I didn't know. I didn't know that could happen. Well, what did you think was going to happen? You explain to me if you don't understand what's going to happen, you shouldn't be doing this. Point blank, period. Like, it's just crazy to me. But
Like
Well,
what I said,
I have
that's
a
supposed
question.
to happen.
what's the
With
question?
having boys, I don't know if this is on your list, but I mean, I don't have a boy, but with having boys, how do y'all plan to like tackle the talk of like masturbation?
I've been thinking
'Cause
about that.
that's something now, and I say that because I have a cousin who, um, she had girls, right? So she had girls, and then she also had a little boy that came into the family. He's like her son, like he's the family. And I remember going home a couple of years ago, and like I've known this boy since he was like 3 or 4. He might be 17 now. And she goes, Jordan, you will not believe what I caught him doing. Oh, when I tell you I beat his tail so bad. I said, whoa, 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 whoa. I said, you did what? I said, now listen, you can't beat the boy. Like, that's what he's supposed to be. Like,
He realized he got some feeling down
he
there.
realized what's going on. That's what he's supposed to do. So go ahead and be ready for the dirty socks and the dirty washcloth. Just clean the clothes. Act like you don't know what's going on, but you ain't got to beat the boy. Don't embarrass him. He doing what he's supposed to do. But how, like, have you thought about that? Like, what does that look like with having boys? Like,
I'm gonna tell them they're gonna have to let me know when they need some happy time or something. I don't know. Just help me out so we not both sitting here looking stupid.
but I'm saying that because like, do you have do you figure out like uh let me know when to knock policy, like, because like
Gotta start looking around corners before you step it all the way in and do it. I don't know. That's kind of hard for me because I don't. I have my own feelings associated with what I have. I can't tell you when you like. He got to take that up with his daddy, and I know that's kind of crazy because I said I wouldn't want him to just have the sex conversation with. I wouldn't want them to just have the sex conversation with their daddy, but I honestly don't know how I would navigate that because to me, I feel like I didn't really start exploring my body until late teenage years. So, and I wouldn't necessarily expect them to do that. I mean, to me, they noticed they got a little feeling down there early. Jackson already in the tub tugging on that thing, and he realized
That something is down there.
something down there. I don't. I feel something. So it's like I just wouldn't know how to navigate how to tell them to go about prepping and how to handle it and
But I'm saying for you as a mom, like, how do you handle like them needing a level of like legit privacy?
I mean that comes with the territory. To me, that comes with the territory. It is what it is. I wouldn't turn a blind eye to it, so to speak. I would definitely know something's going on. It's just don't let me walk in on you doing it. More so.
Turn a blind eye, Mimi. I would turn a whole blind eye. But Jordan, I wanted to ask you, do you have the kind of husband who would talk to your daughter too? Because I think my husband will freak out in some ways. Like, I don't think he gonna handle that well. Like,
Well, here's
if it was a boy, I think you handle well, but a girl, I know.
I'm gonna talk about the tape man that's in my house. Okay, the tape man that's in my house, and we've had this discussion, and we talk about it because it's like, you know, eventually we have to have the sex conversation. Eventually we have to have the drugs conversation. Eventually we have to have the alcohol conversation. And what does that look like? Sometimes he shocks me when I'm talking to him by like how soon he's like, oh no, it need to happen at 9. We talking about it. And I'm like, 9? But we still reading Dr. Seuss and Rhymes at 9. And he's like, nope, I ain't even going because I know what I and he will honestly say it from a perspective of like, as a young man, I know what I was thinking at these times. So I want to make sure my daughter is prepared for other little boys who this is what's on their mind, right? So he's like, let's not be naive about it. Let's not like, oh no, we talking about it. And then we even have conversations like, you know, even as far as alcohol is concerned, like, when are we going to let her have her first drink? Because I'm like, my baby ain't going to college and she ain't never drunk nothing. And then now she 18.
And wow,
somebody could go get her from the gas station, whoever 21, that could go get her some liquor. And now she done passed out somewhere because she don't know her limits.
And she don't know. She gonna be drinking like she ain't got no liver.
Which, okay. So and right. So we talk about those conversations a lot, and it actually surprises me how open he is to be like, oh no, we talking about it and now today. What's up? And I'm like, she's 1. We not talking about this right now. Like, he's like, no, we're gonna have those conversations.
Put your Dr. Seuss book down.
Put Dr. Seuss book. We're moving on. Dr. Seuss is good, but let's talk about what's really happening.
I think my husband's gonna freak out. He's gonna be like, I don't know, you know, because to him, she's this little girl. And
I don't think he would freak out.
I don't know, like if he like really came to it and Riley was like, oh, I really like this boy, and I think we're ready to move on to the next step, kind of thing. I think my husband will be like, you don't need to leave the house no more.
Clink, clink, lock the door.
He'd be like that. Like,
I homeschool you.
Yes, like what you mean? What step? Like, I don't think. I think hypothetically, like if we were having a conversation and everything was just kind of like, oh, we just talking about it and in the future tense, sure. But I think if she really came to us and was like, hey, I think that her daddy gonna have to leave the room, because I don't think he's gonna be like okay with it. Like, okay with like, this is the choice I've made. I've thought about it. This is what I want to do.
I think if y'all daughters came to y'all, if y'all daughters came to y'all wanting to have that conversation, and they say, this is a conversation I want to keep it between me and you, not daddy, and she wants to have that masturbation conversation, Would y'all? This is later in teen years, hopefully to Jesus. I'm not trying to be. I'm not trying to have some type of false hope here, but hopefully it's later teen years, and y'all have that type of relationship where they can come to y'all and have those masturbation conversations. Would y'all add in the topic of toys? That comes with the territory, technically.
Honey, she might have teach me something.
Listen, that's what I was about to say, because Mimi, you and I have had this conversation. So I might learn a lesson from sis. But I feel now I don't know, because I would love to say that I would be this like liberated mom that's like, let's go to the sex store. Let me teach you about your body before anybody else is teaching you about your body. Let's this is what this does. This is where this is at. This is where that's at. This is what happens when you press this. This is what happens when you touch that. Like, I would love to say that I would like to be that like liberated and free, with my daughter, so that like she knows herself. And it's, I don't know. It's I that's a loaded question, because it's like I want to say that because I know now, like from experience, things that you just like wish you would have learned about yourself earlier, right? So it's like things you would have wish you knew about yourself, or wish you knew, like just certain things about sex and certain things about your body that would make a difference in how you're like handling yourself sexually. So I mean, in a perfect world, I would say, yes, I'm a liberated mom. And I'm like, yeah, girl, this is where this is. That's where that is. Listen, if you like this is a toy for you. If you like that, that's a toy for you. If you like a little bit of extra, here go this little extra toy. But I don't know. I don't know that I could be, I don't know. And who knows? Like, I might be turned into like a 40-year-old saved and sanctified. All I know is Jesus. And I'm saying this right now at 30, right? But in 40, 45, when she coming to me trying to have these conversations, I might just only know the Bible. I might just only know what Jesus did. I might only know that Mary and Joseph had an immaculate conception, and it was by the grace of God that Jesus is our Savior, was born on Christmas Day. That might be all I got to give to my baby. I hope not.
I hope not.
Come talk to TT, baby. Your mama. This is not the Jordan I knew way back when.
Don't turn sanctified on that baby like that. Don't do it to it.
I might be found the Lord. Okay, me and Jesus is tight, and that's all I can tell you. Don't do it till you married. That's it. Okay, that's all I got. That's all I got.
So this leads to a bonus question, actually. How do you feel about certain teens thinking certain acts are not considered sex?
I just like, just go and do the thing. I mean, come on now. This is ridiculous. All this anal and oral and not just, what are you doing?
I literally had
that's like worse. Like, just go ahead and do it.
I literally had a teenager in my office at work, and I asked her if she was sexually active, and she said no. And I'm looking like, she's a pretty developed young lady, and I'm like, okay, are you sure? Like, have you? What she was there to be seen for did not warrant a no answer. So my next follow-up question was, what do you consider sex to be? So that's when it came out that she didn't, because she performed oral sex on boys. She did not consider that to be
she
sex.
had the herpes, did she? See, that be them. That be them. that be them that be go ahead and they
There you
don't
go.
consider that to be sex. Listen, it is called oral sex.
Thank you.
Sex, oral sex. It is a
Maybe
part
she did.
of
Maybe she only knew it as fellatio.
Or
I
getting
don't
some
know.
head. They knew it as getting some head.
yeah, right. They ain't out here saying fellatio and cunnilingus. Ain't no kid out here saying, "Well, I got some cunnilingus last night." No, ain't nobody saying that. First of all, ma'am, okay, any act that is involving the pubic area, okay, if there is a penis or vagina involved, it is sex. If that's with your hand, if that's with your mouth, if that's with some fingers, if that's with anything, it is sex. Okay. You ain't finna tell me no ma'am, no ma'am, no ham, no turkey. No, thank you.
I
Get out.
never had sex, but
Oh,
I did have a penis in my mouth one day.
oh,
I don't know.
oh.
Could I have got no? But I think I got strep though. It's
Oh yeah,
not.
I had
It's
that.
strep.
Oh girl. I thought I
Yeah,
had
they think they got strep from oral sex.
yes. Oh my goodness. I had this one girl, she had chlamydia and gonorrhea. And she kept the I was working, remember I was with that pediatric clinic? So the provider kept looking at her throat and I was like, no, this ain't strep. This is not strep. Like this is not
Jordan, because strep has a strep. Strep has
gonorrhea in her
a
throat.
distinct
She does
odor.
in her vagina. She was yeah.
You can pretty much tell when it ain't strep.
Mhm. Yes, baby.
But and then I think that's another thing too, because it's like, oh well, I'm not having like I think people think of like STDs as like sexually transmitted disease, that if a penis is in my vagina and his penis is infected and my vagina is infected, sis, your mouth can be infected, your throat can be infected, your teeth, your tongue, all that, everything is infected. Okay, if he infected, you infected, everybody infected, and it all transmits. So it's also being like aware of that as well, because I feel like a lot of times when it comes to sex, sometimes the main focus can be on don't get pregnant.
Yep.
Don't bring no baby in my house. Don't get pregnant. But we also have to have the conversations to like protect yourself from these diseases. Like, and there's even like ST, like smaller ST that you might not know about, like trichomoniasis.
Trichomonas.
I'm honest.
Yeah, so you got that, and then,
You got
like,
tricked. That's what we call
you got a trick.
it. You got tricked.
Now, granted, you could take a pill and be all right, but sis, that means you was out here doing something that you probably shouldn't have been doing. So it's having those conversations about the importance of like protecting yourself.
Do
It's,
you watch Married at First Sight?
I haven't watched this updated season.
Okay, so there's this white girl on there. When they asked her, had her and her husband had intercourse yet? She said, "No, we haven't had sex yet, but we've done other things. We've done some other things." I looked. I said, "She must be Catholic." Them be the main ones that be thinking that this ain't sex.
I really don't understand that concept because I guess for me, I don't know. I don't want to say that because I don't want to sound disrespectful.
I don't understand that concept, and I don't know who the hell taught them that. And you want to, and it's funny because when like I feel like when I think back to it, like when I'm in high school and I'm in middle school, like that's what they was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And the others was walking around, and everybody, all the basketball and football players was getting head from all these little girls, and they want the little black girls.
But the bad thing though is that back then it was considered to be almost like taboo, especially in our world.
Yep.
But now it's like it seems like it's just everywhere. You know what I mean? Like I don't think it's as taboo as it used to be. I think it's becoming more and more common for it to be involved in our race as well, in younger ages, which is just like to me, I'm just like, I don't know. I just because for us that was like you was a hoe. I mean, if you was out there giving people head, you was so, you know, and people didn't want to do that. So, but now it seems like it's just, everything goes on so many different levels. It's just, it's crazy.
Anybody have anything else to add? All righty. So thanks for watching or listening to our very first episode of Welcome to Reality. I think it went awesome.
They gonna put us out on the first episode. We ain't gonna be able to.
They gonna push us out, Lord Jesus. We finna get canceled. We finna get canceled on the first episode.
I should have stopped at 55 because after 55 minutes it went completely left.
We ain't even started yet.
But once again, I'm Mincy.
I'm Jordan. Oh, wait, what's the order?
Jordan.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Shantae.
Oh, you muted yourself, sis.
My sister, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
My sister was calling my iPad. Sorry. So we'll see you next time. And you can give your Instagram handles or whatever y'all want to do.
Oh, okay. You can find me on Instagram or whatever. My Instagram handle is JB as in boy, the God. THEGAWD.
Mine is Are You Shantae?
Literally R, the letter R, the letter U.
Yeah.
Shantae. And mine is Mrs. Tate 2011. This will hopefully be the first of many. So we'll see you guys next time.
All right. Bye.
Bye.